Okay. Hi, everybody. Tina here. I'm really excited because I have somebody that I am very excited to share with you. I'm going to be speaking with my very dear friend, Lynda Austin, today. Many of you have probably heard me talk about her. And if you've worked with me, you've definitely heard me talk about her. So Lynda is, yeah, like I said, one of my dearest friends, one of my top 5 favorite humans of all time, and my greatest mentor. Um, and in addition to being so incredibly kind and warm and generous and loving and compassionate and wise, Lynda is also a very gifted intuitive. So, yeah. Hi, Lynda.
Hi, Tina. I feel like I should be doing something spectacular after that intro. I'm just sitting here.
Oh, yes. And I forgot to say that you're also hilarious. So,
You have to be these days. If you're not funny, you're dead.
that's right. That's true. That's true. So, the reason for this video today is that we are going to have an intuitive reading session with you, and we're just going to talk about the state of the world and what's kind of going on from a higher perspective, and just see what we can offer in terms of support for anybody who might be called to this video.
And I would just modify that and say we're going to have an intuitive reading through me because I channel um, like the best possible energy, just the sweetest thing in the world or beyond. Um, and when we asked, "Who are you?" when I first started channeling, the response was, "We are essence."
Mm-hmm.
I love. Um, we are spirit. We are the gathering of your energy and translating for you what you can't translate for yourself, what you know, but you don't know you know. And um, so I've been channeling for 35 years. And in all that time, I have never heard Essence judge anybody, um, guilt anybody. She's just the loving presence that you would hope to be meeting when you leave here.
Mm-hmm.
So I, she's, well, you'll see.
Yeah,
she,
and
she's wicked funny, and but and as she says, we are not event oriented. So don't ask her for a lottery number or am I going to get lucky Friday night or
right,
anything like that
right,
because she's just, I'm not event oriented
right,
unless it's something she wants to tell you about and
right.
she's focused in. So
I will add to that too, that because you and I met 12 or 13 years ago. I honestly even forget what year it is now these days. Um, through a mutual friend when I was living in Vancouver. And since then, and then I started working with you. I was getting readings quite regularly. So I've worked with you and Essence a fair bit. And so I'm somebody who, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one, who's very drawn to channeled energies for information. They hold just the highest resonance for me. Um, and Essence, yeah, the level of light and wisdom that comes through with Essence is remarkable. So I'm really excited to be sharing this.
it's just a positive energy. I
Yeah,
mean, I've never had anybody say, oh, that felt terrible.
right.
I have
Right.
people all the time who that I've read for in the past who will call me every once in a while and say, I just replayed my reading and it's just like a meditation, and I listen to it, and I just feel that energy again, and that makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
And just for the record, somebody asked me one time, "Oh, is this so great you do this? And aren't you exhausted afterwards?" And I'm just laughing because I'm saying it's like a wonderful meditation for me. I'm just like, I'm like sitting in the corner listening, and I, there are so many times when I hear what's coming out of my mouth, and I'm separate over here going, "What a concept! That's really good." You know? So it's not me.
Yeah.
I am literally the channel.
Hmm.
So, and my intention is to allow that information to flow through me as clear and uncluttered as possible. And the only way that is possible is if I keep myself out of it. So when I'm channeling, I'm in in my reality, I'm sitting on a stool next to me.
Right.
So
I got it.
yeah.
Great.
Otherwise I'd be trying to fix things, and oh, and by the way, and
Right. The mind
you
getting in there and trying to control it. And yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I am at heart a controlling bitch.
Yeah.
So it's best to keep me on the chair over here out of the way.
Be the observer. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry. I'm ready.
okay, I'm gonna take my glasses off. Fabulous glasses.
They are beautiful.
Oh,
I like the style.
I I've worn glasses since I was 13, and I have bought some expensive glasses. Those are the most expensive ones. But my thought is, it's the only thing I wear every day, every
Right.
single day.
Hmm.
And if every time you look in the mirror at yourself, you think, oh, I don't like those glasses. Now, every time I look in the mirror, I say, oh man, I'm so glad I bought those.
Right. Right.
That's how it's supposed to be. So,
I
okay,
love that.
here we go. I'm going to say a little grounding prayer. And what I'm going to do is basically open up my crown chakra and make the connection to a higher level. And Essence will announce herself with the word yes. I love that because she opens every reading with the word yes. And it's an invitation and an affirmation that everything is going to be positive. So you guys can ask whatever you want, and I will just listen.
Okay.
I am the light. The light is surrounding me. The light is transforming me. The light is protecting me. Divine love is flowing around and through me, solving and dissolving all situations for the good of all. A higher power is in charge of my life, and only good can come through me. My mind is open, my heart is receptive, and miracles are happening right now. I consciously choose to raise my vibration to a place of truth and light. Yes, Tina, it is so good to see you. It is so good to see you. You know, it is wonderful to talk on the phone, but to see your smiling face and see uh, how much you've grown is amazing. And we're not talking about pat you on the head, you're taller. We're talking about a stability and a sense of purpose. And you've come to the place where you trust yourself that you are going to do all these things you've wanted to do and thought you would do. You have much more confidence in your own self to accomplish what you're here to accomplish. And we just want to take a minute to tell you, atta girl, and you are now moving into the phase, as so many of you are, the last few years have been difficult ones, and 2020 was certainly one for the ages, so to speak. But now you are moving into 2021, you're getting more clarity, and this is the year when you begin to do the work that you came here to do. You can see it in the channel. She's free now to do the work she came to do. She's still trying to figure out what it is. And you are in the same place. You're standing on, it's like you're standing at the gate waiting for a plane that's going to take you someplace wonderful.
Mm.
And it's going to be a pretty quick trip. By the end of this year, Tina, you're going to be so involved in what your purpose here is. It's just going to be so peaceful, rewarding, satisfying. It's going to flow. You know, you've gone through your life finding bits of current that moves you a little ways, and then you find another bit of current that moves you. You're coming into the river. It's going to carry you forward. All you have to do is enjoy it. Yes. How's that for a start?
That's a great start. Thank you. I know that there are others listening who are who will be able to relate with this as well.
Yes.
In terms of,
this is a year when you all start to get clarity and work on what you came here to do. And you're going to find, you know, when we say that, people go, oh, I've got this big, no, it's going to be so easy because it is your path. It is the right place for you to be. So as the channel Sun says, dream bigger dreams because you can make them happen.
mm-hmm.
Yes, we interrupted you. We're sorry.
That's it. No, no need to apologize. Thank you. So, oh gosh, where to begin? I was going to start on one topic, and now it's just opened up a whole nother avenue. Okay, maybe we'll come back to that. But so, could we please talk about this past year? Even though it kind of, it already feels like, yes, it's the past. It feels like the intensity of that year we've come through it. But could we just for a moment talk about the higher perspective of what this past year has meant for us, what is brought to us? In it, you know, aside from, like, yes, it's been a struggle for many of us, maybe all of us to some degree. Could we just talk about that for a moment?
Well, you weren't awake. It has been a struggle for everyone, okay, in one way or another. It's been a year of testing. It's been a year of, it has been a whole year of Mercury retrograde. Where you're going back and trying to clean up the mess from before.
Right.
Before 2020 started, we had given people the picture of a spring-fed pond that was beautifully calm and lovely. And everyone thought it was so pretty. But they kept throwing their trash into it.
Right.
And so the trash eventually plugged up the spring, which then made the pond stagnant and algae covered and smelly.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the world that you were looking at. And so when enough people decided that this was not the world they wanted to live in, they didn't want that world anymore. That energy of hope and energy of commitment and energy of change actually feeding the pond pushed out that plug of all of the garbage and crap that had been thrown in it. Now, all that floated to the surface. And people said, oh my God, this is really awful. Well, no, you can't fix what you don't know about. You can't fix what you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was brought to the surface, literally brought to the surface, so you could see what you had done and say, I don't want this. I want something different. And clear out that pond,
Mm-hmm.
clear it out. And that's what you were doing all last year. I doubt that there is one person alive who doesn't recognize that at least once, and sometimes continuously last year, you were dealing with your past history, something that you had done or misconstrued, or, to look back and say there was a lesson there and I didn't get it. Oh, now I get it. And those things are not comfortable. It's painful to look and say, oh my gosh, I see now how I could have handled that differently. I see now how I could have come from a more loving place.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what at least everyone at some point or another was dealing with that. Some of you did not do the work.
Right.
And so your particular spring is still not cleared out.
Mm-hmm.
But there are those of you who are at least aware of the process now. And so you will continue to take care of this. It's your energy. It's the essence flowing into you of spirit and love and hope. And many of you got to the place where there wasn't any hope left. But you are now able to move forward into this new year, which is totally chaotic in a completely different way, but you can see with clarity what you want to create. You see, it's not necessarily about cleaning up the pond.
Mm-hmm.
It's about holding a vision of what you want instead.
Right.
It's never about getting into the gunk and being part of the gunk.
All right.
It's about create the vision of what you want instead of that. People stand around and they're looking at this and they're saying, oh, this is the worst ever. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Look at this. This coronavirus is like, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop feeding the fear.
Right.
For the coronavirus, we would tell you, stop feeding the fear is more powerful than getting the vaccine.
Right.
Don't make yourself an open door to a virus because you think you have to get it to be one of the crowd. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Allow yourself to go through your life knowing that you are safe and you are loved. It's fear never fixed anything. Fear just feeds more fear. And so it's like being frozen while the tiger sneaks up on you,
Mhm.
It's about the light that you surround yourself with, the energy, the the under when you walk down the street fully aware that you are a powerful spiritual being who can change your life whenever you choose, who has the power to create in your life whatever you choose, you're pretty much okay. Because we doubt that many of you are saying, I want to create the coronavirus. But when you are walking down the street surrounded by a black cloud of fear, it's as though you're attracting every negative thing you can.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it doesn't necessarily mean you'll get corona, but it does mean you're going to be feeling pretty crappy.
Mhm.
You see?
I do. And it seems like a lot of us, because that fear conditioning in our mind has been there for so long, it's very deep for um well, even those of us who have awakened and who have come to see that, we still can default back into that fear, not knowing that that's what we're doing. We think that we're focusing on a solution, or that we are focusing toward the light, however you want to look at that, but tricking ourselves.
You know, it does no good to say, I, I want this and I believe I'm going to get it if you really don't,
Right,
you know.
right.
So the easiest way to create the energy you want is not to envision yourself not getting coronavirus or envisioning the coronavirus being totally, you know, it's to let go of focusing on the coronavirus at all.
Hmm.
Focus on what you want. Create your own reality in the sense that because if you want something different, ask for it. I want a world that's not afraid. I want a world that is open to loving each other, to um, the thing we fall back on all the time, and to remind you of this is the child who in you know kindergarten who asked his mother when they were going back to school, and she said, well, soon. And he said, when we go back, can I hug my friends again? Because he wanted to hug his friends, and he hadn't been allowed to hug his friends since the coronavirus
Hmm.
started. So focus on hugging your friends again. Focus on not wearing a mask again. Um, Focus on walking down the street without noticing if anybody else is wearing a mask. You
Hmm.
know, it's about taking your attention away from this black cloud and focusing it on the summer ahead.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Completely, completely. That's one of the things I've been talking about, is just that pivoting your focus instead of focusing on the problem, because we can our mind I think we can dwell in that, and we again don't mean to, and we don't realize we're doing that, but we'll continually focus on the problem, and of course nothing can change. So we need to learn how to pivot our focus toward what it is that we actually prefer to create.
Exactly.
It seems like it's simple physics in that sense, although I know that that's not exactly what we've been taught. So I see that we're creating something on a very different level now.
Yes. And here's the thing. Once you start to use that process, it becomes your default.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're defaulting to the old idea, which is I've got to get in there and fight this fear. If you fight it, you feed it.
Yeah.
So it's understanding that if you see something that is a huge black cloud of fear, saying, that's not my job. My job is not to fix that. My job is to not engage with it, and the universe will handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Because who's more able to deal with that, you or the universe? I would just as soon leave it to a higher power.
Right.
Because when you begin to, it's like the story of Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby. Once you punch it, once you start to fight it, you become engulfed by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. The quicksand. Yeah. So on this, because for the past year, some of the things that have been coming up within our consciousness have, I mean, what we've been focusing on are, now it seems like we're kind of split on this, where some of us are just saying, just go along with what the leaders are saying, and some of us are saying, don't trust what the leaders are saying. Um, and there's been a bit of a push and pull, tug of war, conflict kind of going on within us around this. Could we speak on that for a moment in terms of, the higher perspective of what is happening? Can we talk about specific intentions of certain people who are in certain positions?
If you like.
Sure,
But
if that's
what would it
helpful.
say to you about the push pull? Who should I listen to?
Right,
Listen to your own
right,
knowingness.
right.
And even if it doesn't feel right to you, listen to it. You still are in your left brain too much, all of you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your right brain saying?
Right.
What is the easy way out? Because your left brain is always looking for work. It's
Right.
looking for how do we build this? How do we do this? How do we take this apart? And your right brain is saying, just let go of it.
Right. We don't trust the easy.
This is the time, as we said, when you're moving into doing the work you came here to do. And one of the first things you have to do that is let go of your self-doubt. Can you think of a better way to practice that than saying, I'm not going to listen to this person, but I resonate with this one?
Mm.
You see,
Oh, yeah.
it's the lab example. It's giving you a lab chance to just try that out with, you know, it's a skill. It's you need to trust yourself, and you need to find in you the place that resonates with truth,
Mm-hmm.
the place that lights up when something is true. And once you have done that, you can direct your path where you're supposed to be going. That's the biggest step in this new year, is learning to trust yourself. You spent last year going inside and throwing out all the garbage, in yourself. Moving forward into a place of humility and understanding, and yes, there's confusion still, but for most of you, you have discovered that going inside is where you find the answers. And now it's about trusting that. Just imagine, Tina, if you can, what could be built if everyone trusted that they were a powerful spiritual being who actually had an impact in their own lives and in the lives of others, and was coming from a place of choosing to make the loving choice about what to do and how to be, coming from that higher place. That's what you're moving into.
Mm-hmm.
Just envision for a moment what's possible when nothing is impossible.
Right. And when we look at it that way, puts everything else into perspective and kind of helps us to realize that all that other stuff doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't need to solve the problems of the world because
Well, we will tell you a little. Well, there are these essence messages that people write down, and they go around, and when the channel runs into someone, they'll say, "Oh, you remember when you said this?" And say, "Essence said that." Here's something to remember at this point in time. The answer to how, when you're looking at this and we've told you all this and you're saying, yes, but how can I do that? The answer to how is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to figure out how. That's not your job. Your job is to say, yes, I want that, and to allow the universe to provide you with everything you need to make that happen, even if it's just making it happen for you. It's about saying yes to what you want, giving yourself permission to say yes to what you want, and then turning it over. You know that old let go and let God?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to ask for what you want. You have to hold the vision. You're the architect. You're the architect. The universe is the carpenter.
Right.
For those of you who are following the Christian path, it's not by coincidence that Christ was a carpenter. You create the plan, he builds the house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Say yes to what you want and then get out of the way so it can show up.
Right.
And that's especially important now when we're telling you to trust your own vision. Nothing is impossible. If you were doing it, there would be things you couldn't do. But when you are co-creating with the universe, nothing is impossible. When you
Mm-hmm.
start to recognize the little miracles in your life, you'll realize the universe is all powerful, the universe is all knowing, and the universe has a heck of a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so does my dog. So.
See? Can we have an amen on that? So,
Oh boy. 1 second. Shia, enough. She's a
I
male
will
person, maybe.
laws.
Yeah. um, okay, so that sort of completely shifts the question that maybe I was framing towards intentions of others, because that puts it into a broader perspective, which I'm hoping is helpful for people to understand, because I know that our minds have kind of funneled into this idea that we need to focus on
One of the
these other
things I
things.
can tell you is, in this year going forward, use your own, everything you hear. First of all, when someone tells you, well, what you have to do is just after that, let it just fall off, because you don't have to do anything.
Right.
And when someone tells you, well, the thing to do is, the person to follow is this, when they are trying to sell you their decision, what they're doing is trying to get validation that they're right. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
When someone comes to you and says, well, I've thought about it a lot, and here's where I have questions, and here's what I'm working. Listen to that person. When someone tells you they have the truth, what they mean is they have their truth.
Right.
It may turn out to be your truth, but don't accept it until it resonates as truth for you. Do you see?
Yes.
And that's not just in political things. That's,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
across, it's universal.
Pick a topic. Yeah. Yeah.
Use that when you're buying a car.
Right. That's good advice.
Yes. The channel's daughter called her on her cell phone one time and said, Mother, tell me if I should buy this car. And her mother said, how do I know if you should buy that car? What car? Well, her father had her, had gone with her to buy her a car. She wanted to buy a car, and he was helping her. And they were at a dealership, and she was not yet 20. She was sitting in a Cadillac, and her mother said, what in the world do you want with a Cadillac? Why? Well, I don't know. Dad just said it was a good buy, and I thought I would, And her mother said, here's what you do. You get into the car, you sit down, you put your hands on the steering wheel, and you close your eyes and you vision yourself driving this car. If it feels right to you, buy it. If it doesn't, get out and find a car that feels right to you. Well, her daughter ended up in a little Nissan, which she drove for years and loved it. But she said to her mother, I couldn't believe when I sat in there and I tried to picture myself driving that car. I couldn't see it, Mother. I couldn't see it. Enough said.
Yeah.
So she tries that with every car she buys now, and now she's driving a Mercedes.
There you go. Okay. So one of the ideas that we've been having is that what we're experiencing here is a shift from what many are calling from 3D to 5D. Is there anything that you have to say on that?
If that model
Mm-hmm.
works for you,
Right.
fine. It's not going to work for everybody.
Right.
It's about what it's doing. The channel that's nervous about this because she says that well, would we lie? Why? What they're doing is creating tests for themselves.
Right.
Oh, I'm doing this and I'm still on 3D, and
Right.
so they're making it hard. You don't get extra credit if it's hard.
Right. I've heard that many times.
Yes.
Yeah.
The channel forgets it all the time. Call her up once a week and say, you don't get extra credit if it's hard. But these are people who need to have that platform and that
Right.
framework
Right.
so that they can, it's a construct that they create so they can feel like they have accomplished something. It would, when they get to the point that there's no more top,
Right.
they realize, oh, I've climbed all this for nothing. Then they can start really creating from a loving heart space. But you see, it's like, it's not, I don't want to say it's a crutch, but it's sort of like a badge, you know. Oh, I'm operating on 5D now.
Right.
So I will I can't understand you. You won't understand this because you're not in 5D.
Right.
And it's not hard.
Yeah.
All of that is putting blocks in your own way. You
Hmm.
focus in on 5D or whatever. Open yourself up to the all
Yeah.
of it.
Right. Because we have been talking about our multidimensional nature.
Absolutely.
So that feels more, um,
Absolutely.
for me, anyways, that feels like a more resonant language to use,
Absolutely.
because it feels more applicable to my experience.
Well, heavens, yes.
Right.
And when you look at the concept of many lives, that fits with the multidimensional
Yes.
much more than the, oh, I was on first dimension here, you know.
Right.
It just, it's not hard.
And it seems as though that there would be, now in talking about the left and the right brain, that the left brain would have a certain perception of these ideas, and the right, if we were going to view them separately, and then the right brain would have also a certain perception of these ideas that would be obviously quite different. Um, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
The left brain is over here going, we've got to get organized. And the right brain is going, la di da di da.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, you know, to people who have a strong left brain who are trying to work from the right brain.
Right. Okay. Because it seems like, because with the left brain, that's that linear structure of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like, and achievement, and um,
Brain is doing all the dimensional, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So would it be in any way accurate to say that what we may be experiencing is some type of a merging of those two aspects of ourselves? If we want to see that they're two. Okay.
See?
Okay. Thank you.
Right brain, left brain,
Okay.
wholeness.
Wholeness.
The problem you have is not that you have a left brain and a right brain, but that you have the left brain making the choices.
Okay.
If you let the right brain make the choices and just give direction to the left brain,
Right.
what I want you to do is, you know, then you have it backwards.
Gotcha.
Too many of you are saying, I have to be practical. I have to live in the real world. And the right brain is saying, why?
Right. So the left brain is the carpenter.
The left brain is the carpenter.
Okay. I like how that feels.
The right brain is the the channel worked in graphics for centuries. And she always said to her clients, I don't do design, I do production. Because she had no sense of design or color or, all that. But she was very, very good at seeing what the problem was and what needed to shift to make it fit. to make it work, to make it better. She was the production person. She was very left brain. So when someone tells her, oh, you've got to get into your right brain, she's like, I don't do that. I'm not creative. And that's okay. She sits on her stool and listens. She's still being office help,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's important to know when you're working in your left brain and when you're working in your right brain. Too many of you go into your left brain first thing in the morning and then try to engage the right brain into the left brain, and nothing gets done.
Right. We
See?
wake up, yes, because we wake up, okay, what do I have to do today?
Mm-hmm.
Start to get that list organized and yeah.
Well, the channel does hers at night before she goes to bed.
Right.
But the first thing you see, um, she had a very hard time for the last few years. She's been going through a process which has manifested as a lot of pain and
Mm-hmm.
sickness.
Right.
And the one particular illness gave her the reality of waking up in the morning in pain. Being sedentary in the night created a flare up of this condition. And so when she would wake up, she didn't want to get out of bed. And finally, she said, I need some help. I need some motivation with this. And so we simply said to her, just remember, this is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. And so she connected to that instead of, I'm going to hurt all day. You see?
Mm-hmm.
She started out getting out of bed, looking out the window, and quoting that Bible verse. And she's done it every day since then. And she starts out the day knowing that it's going to get better. And it does. And so for those of you who are finding no place to find solace or comfort or hope, this is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. Because you have another day in which to love and be loved and to explore and understand new things and possibly maybe even bring some change to the world you're in. Every day is a new day. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we will also give you, since we're giving you the beginner kit.
Okay.
When you go to bed at night, do not lay in bed and, like the channel used to do, look at all the things I have to do tomorrow, or worry about where your kids are at night, or none of that. Put your head down on the pillow and say to yourself, I am safe and I am loved. And we specifically say safe first because it's very hard to believe that you're loved if you're not safe.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to say, I am safe and I am loved, and repeat it until you believe it, and then go to sleep. It's something to remember whenever you're reaching for something to calm you down, relax you, energize you, calm your fears. I'm safe and I'm loved.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are. There is never a time when you are not safe and loved, because you are part of the whole. You are part of one. You are part of what you would call God. It's impossible for you to not be safe or loved. It's your own fear that creates that.
Hmm. That is such a powerful affirmation.
Because it won't take more than once or twice before you can feel it. Oh, I know that. I know that. You know?
Yes. Yes. And I mean, you had shared that with me many years ago, and I've shared that with many people. And every time that I have shared that, there's always this spark of resonance that often will bring up emotion, because it's like we go, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I wasn't believing that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So, what else?
Okay, so maybe is there anything to offer anybody in terms of inspiration for this coming year? Are there any, um, I know we like specific timelines of things and we like predictions and things like that. So if there's anything, anything specific that may, that could be offered in terms of, you know, people keeping their head up and something to look forward to.
We would like to tell you that it's all going to be sunshine and flowers and wonderful.
Right.
It's going to be confusing more than anything else,
Okay.
because it's not just in Canada or the US, it's the world.
Mm-hmm.
This involves the whole world. And so there's going to be change, there's going to be gain, there's going to be loss, there's going to be questions. It's as though the whole world is changing. And that creates an energy. To think of this, the change energy in every single place on earth. Scary,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So don't be afraid of it. Find the flow.
Find the flow.
Find the flow. It's all these currents of change energy.
Right.
And this is why you're being told, find the space in you that resonates with truth, so that you have your own little radar detector and you can follow it's like one of those puzzles in the kids' books with all the thing, and you have to find the path that leads to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you are responsible for you. Here's what we're saying. You cannot live anybody else's truth. And when you just accept somebody else's truth, you are not standing in your authentic self. And so it's like, think of it. We want to give you something you can think of that will help. When someone starts to tell you their truth, imagine that you are wearing their clothes. Do they fit? Do they feel good? It's your own truth. You are responsible. You're moving into a time of being responsible for knowing your own truth and standing in it. And we have said from the first time we spoke to the channel, your only responsibility is to find your truth and stand in it. Because when you stand in your truth, the whole universe moves to support that. And when the universe moves to support your truth, then the universe is more aligned in truth. So it is your only responsibility. Find your own truth and stand in it. And light a light if you feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how important it is? You are each individuals. No two of you are alike.
Right.
You each have something to bring that is needed. And if you're wearing somebody else's truth, what happens to yours? Do you see?
I do, yes. And it seems like this is helping me see a little more clearly. This is how we can be experiencing confusion because we're
We're
not
trying
used
to
to
fit
standing
somebody
in our
else's
individual
clothes.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're trying to on somebody else's clothes and they're not fitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who am I when I'm not doing that anymore? And what is my truth? And so I can understand. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am
And
safe
that's
and I
your
am
number
loved.
one responsibility in this coming year, because to fulfill your purpose, what you came here for, you have to bring your authentic self, because you have a purpose. You all have the same purpose. We have said that over and over. You've heard that over and over again. It is to be a physical manifestation of love. Oh, wonderful. That's my purpose. How you do that is where free will comes in. You're not given instructions on how to be love. You're just told to be love. And in order to do that, you have to believe that you are love. You have to open yourself to the idea that everybody else is love and live from that place. There's a vision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See?
I see it. I see it. Okay.
Your way of being love may just simply be saying hello to everybody on the sidewalk, petting every dog you meet,
Mm-hmm.
or it might be running the United Nations, who knows?
Right.
But it's about intention.
Yes.
If you start out every day saying, I'm going to make the loving choice and I'm going to be love in every instance that I have the opportunity, it's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So,
Vince,
okay. I'm feeling complete with this for now.
we think that fills a cup for today.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, we want to say thank you to you, Tina. You know how we love you. And we want to say to you, well done. Well done. You know, we've had our eye on you for a long time. We want to tell to anyone who will hear these words or see this, we love each and every one of you. The universe loves you. It's all about love. It's all one thing, and one thing is love. Don't forget that. Yes, we will close. Hey, sweetie, that was awesome.
Hey, thank you. No, I'm not saying thank you. I'm not taking credit for it. I just meant thank you for doing that.
I have to tell you, on my little stool, I was hoping you'd ask what people's motives were. I wanted the gossip.
I know. I was going to. I had it written down and I was like, it just doesn't.
Doesn't feel
We
clean.
don't need to go there. We don't need to go there.
Well, it
Because
would
even
be nice
even
if
when
we
she had just
had
mentioned,
a list. Huh?
sorry.
What?
Oh, I was going to say, even just at the end there when she was mentioning intentions, because that's what I had written down, like, who has nefarious intentions, and then I was like, like my mind is just feeding into it,
And then I'm hearing
but it's not
that's
serving.
what this is about. You're supposed to figure, but
Right.
I think it's important because we tend to believe what people tell us.
Right.
You know, we tend to assume, well, that person wouldn't lie to me. Well, no, maybe that person wouldn't. But maybe where they got it, somebody lied to them.
Right.
How many people have really listened And, you know, how do you know what to believe?
Hmm. Right.
You have to
Right.
trust yourself.
Right. Because as we had talked about before, you and I, that there are so many, not so many rabbit holes, but there's a rabbit hole that has a lot of extra little tunnels in it that you can go down and just keep going and keep going. So um, it feels like that's like the trap to avoid as best you
Exactly.
can, but to step
It's
back and just
another
observe.
construct to distract you,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and make it hard.
Right.
And you start out thinking, I'm probably going to get lost in here. So you do.
Yes. And you, yes, you lose yourself. And there's levels of that that are crazy making. And, you
Well,
know,
especially when you don't even know what you're looking for.
right. Because you're constantly, it's that carrot that's just being pulled
Yeah.
along and pulled along and pulled along. So yeah, that's why it just didn't feel like in the energy of that
Yeah. No,
communication to go into that
I
because,
could feel
all right,
myself. Oh, ask about this one. Ask about that one. You know,
yeah, who's the bad guy?
no
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, exactly. I
Uh,
mean, it can be a yes to that, but does it matter? Is it going to help me find my center, find my knowing? Um,
you know,
and I've explored it. I've explored it all, and I no, it's not helping me stand strong in myself.
it's not selfish to say, how does this serve me? It's not selfish
Right.
because you need to find that which serves you, you know.
Hmm.
Um, is this my truth? Does this resonate as truth to me? How will I feel if I take this into my reality?
Hmm. Hmm. I do feel that there can be some benefit. uh what am I getting, like training for like sports, but to explore these various perspectives that are going on so that
Yeah.
they can give you an opportunity to discern your truth through that.
And
The
to
key is to not
understand
get lost
that
in it.
there's nothing wrong with listening to it and examining it or even trying it out, as long as you're still keeping yourself aware of, does it resonate as truth? And the thing is, when it doesn't, it, it it's sometimes really hard to say, oh, I thought I really liked that person and I really liked what they were saying, and now I'm feeling like there's something there that doesn't add up,
Hmm.
doesn't fit. And you have to listen to that, because the more you listen to it, the stronger it gets, and the stronger you get at finding those places that don't add up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense where some of our confusion might come, because it's like we will constantly be redirected because there's going to be mirrors. We're just in this giant house of mirrors. And if I look to a certain reflection
Yep.
and I don't like what I see, and it just doesn't seem like me, well, then
Those
look in
clothes
another
don't
mirror.
look
Go
like
keep.
my clothes.
What's that?
Those clothes don't look like my clothes.
Yeah, they don't fit. They don't. That's not my color. Yeah, I'm allergic to that material. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, this
Oh,
was super fun.
this has been great. I can't tell you how good I feel.
Yay. I'm glad to hear that. Well, we can wrap up this recording.
Okie doke.
Well, thank you again, Lynda. And I'm just going to give your website because you have some amazing recordings on there, those MP3 recordings. So followjoy.com, and you can go to Dialogues with Essence, and then there's there's categories of different topics that you've recorded, and they're timeless.
Started out with having David ask a question, and then I would answer it.
Yes.
And all of those have been transcribed. So if anybody wants, a hard copy of it, we could send that also if you'd like to have something to keep. And my website, my email, which I don't mind giving out, is Lynda, Lynda @followjoy.com. Pretty simple.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just say too that there's some recordings on there about this new energy. So for anybody who this language might seem new, that they can go to that and learn about that broader explanation or picture of what it is that we're experiencing now, and help them hopefully understand it a little bit. And
it's interesting. One of the things that I love about Essence's materials is that you can pick it up 10 years later and it feels like it was written for today.
mm-hmm.
And she always says, well, that's the thing about universal wisdom. It's universal.
Mm-hmm.
But I went in there, and I believe they're still in there. There are some about election, about, before the last election or the election before that.
Yeah.
And it all fits. It all fits. She talks about you don't vote for somebody who can stand on she says it's the ship of state, who can stand on the front and say, iceberg, iceberg, iceberg. She says, you want somebody who can stand up there and show you where the open water is.
Right.
So it works.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
me do
you.
this. It was really great.
I hope we can do another one of these.
I would love to do
Or
another
as many
one.
as, okay. I adore you.
That's because I'm adorable.
That is because you're adorable.
I have to tell you one quick thing. I've gotten old, and I'm trying to deal with it. But I did a reading for a friend of mine in Saudi Arabia, and I said I had a birthday coming up, and I said I'm going to be 80 in March. And George said, no, really, how old are you? I said, I'm going to be 80 in March. He said, I that doesn't compute. He said, Lynda, you're timeless. So I'm just saying I'm timeless.
Mm-hmm.
I like that feeling.
Yeah, have a celebration of being timeless.
Yep.
Today.
Why not?
Why not?
Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you. Okay, I love you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.